Yeah. Yeah, it opens up a world of bringing people together that they couldn't have been together before.
That's it. Yeah. We're living in a pretty good time. And leave that background noise on a bit. I guess we're doing a podcast.
All right, what do we start?
So we're on. Welcome to Queens and Kings, episode 17.
Queens and Kings, we're back.
With the Kings.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
The Queens will arrive shortly.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know, you can't leave
It's,
a good man waiting too long.
No, well. But I think with all kings, there must be queens.
It's the balancing act.
Yeah. I think we were talking. I've been doing lots of study on ancient Egyptian, like archaeology, and their way that they had their culture, and I think their ultimate kingship was like a king and a queen. Right? The divine union of a divine couple.
Yeah.
That also has the power to run the country.
And that brings us to actually something that I was thinking about this morning, which was the importance of the female in the dynamic of a good king, good queen.
Yes.
And how she basically, through him seeking her favour, has become the most influential. Because he's always acting on her benefit. And so the power of the queen, even in the domestic home, what he then takes into his office or to his decision-making place comes from what she's getting in his home.
Yeah. It's like the matriarch type thing.
That's right, yeah.
The queen. She sets the home standard and then she'll set... That spreads everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's lower profile in many ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, she's not like going out to fight the battles.
She doesn't need the recognition externally.
Yeah.
She doesn't need that.
Yeah, and it's interesting if you look at the image I've used on for the promo, the poster of the Queens and Kings.
Yeah.
It's the king and queen, and it's an interesting one because the queen is supporting the husband.
Yeah.
She's got her arm around him. It's like it's a very powerful statue. Yeah, and it's that divine union because the woman, the queen is protecting the king. You know, like just came to mind, like in the chess, the queen has the power.
Yes.
To protect, but she's protecting the king.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting. She's got the most power. Like,
and on the chessboard, he never used to leave home very far, did he?
No.
He couldn't get out very far.
No, he just hang out.
Yeah. He'd be at home making the decisions,
That's
deciding who moves where.
Yeah. But I believe the story of Osiris, and supposedly he was out spreading good and obviously having wars outside of Egypt when Set did something.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the start of this whole thing. I think.
Yeah.
Probably tried to crack onto ISIS.
It could have been. Yeah.
Well,
there were four of them.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't really understand which one was his mate, or it could have just been just a situation we'll never really understand. But
I'd like to know more. But that's interesting that the queen, because there's even I think there's a possibility the queens were the most powerful as well in some civilizations.
Yeah.
They were more powerful than the king. Like she was the matriarch that went from king, like from reign to reign.
Yeah.
And she chose the king.
Sure.
That's going against everything we've been taught.
Yeah. So this is going on, I guess, from our conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
About a divine stream of consciousness which comes down and will, I guess, find the person that's the most aligned to that frequency. And more than likely you're saying that it could have been a really good woman who was receiving that.
Yeah.
Who would then, her next point of contact is her good man.
Yeah. And finding that, that's right. finding that divine union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and he will then
He proves himself.
distribute that energy further,
Yeah.
while she can stay in her private space to continue to channel that good source of consciousness. Basically.
Yeah. I just think it's that yin and yang coming together. You've got to have to be a true ruler or leaders. Because they say behind every man, every good man, there's a good woman.
Yeah.
And is it the same for women? Every good woman, there's a good man.
Well, yeah, I guess it's purely her choice, isn't it?
Right.
If she's a good woman, she can decide what she needs.
Yeah, but
she probably does need a good man, doesn't she?
Well, I guess, of course, to have the balance. Like they say, the term power couple.
Yeah.
Power couple is a couple that are in that divine union and they're just fucking blitzing it. Cause she can see some things, he can see others.
Yeah.
And
they're both high vibrational.
Together.
Yeah, they're both vibrational, so they're both tapped into good places and they can do good things together.
That's right. Yeah, actually, I just had the thought of in June. So there's this Jesuit order of women who can see the future. Soothsayers and truthsayers. They can see people when they're telling lies or not.
Sure.
And so that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
But they're genetically playing with the bloodlines of the royal families to try and create a boy, a male who can do the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Who can see the future.
And so this has been going on for how long?
A long time. Like this order have planned it for thousands of years.
Yeah, and
this
haven't been able to change the genetic sequence.
Yeah, and that's what June's about, is this young kid who has learnt it.
And it's
but he's maybe a bit but he's maybe a bit unstable a little bit. I gotta watch more of it.
So he's currently alive now. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right.
He's a boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he can start to see the future. But it's you got to have the masculine and the feminine together. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I love. Yeah, that movie came to me just recently. I've had it on my hard drive for ages. And to watch it, it's great. Especially how they talk about the bloodlines, and because it's a whole universe or galaxy with a whole group of civilizations, but it seems like they're all human. So it's pretty much just expanded human civilization, but they've expanded into kingdoms or families. Yeah, like different bloodlines, but they're kings, and there's kings that running the show.
Yep.
And but they're all in one tribe. But there's an emperor, and there's a lot of political scandal and intrigue, and one family's trying to wipe out the other family. Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. So, yeah, good. I love that stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Expand the mind.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess while we're on the frame of the importance of the female in terms of leadership,
how much are they important?
It brings us around to also, I guess,
everything.
The ideas of God and goddesses, and how they embody certain traits. And there was a Mart you were referring to her the traits that she carried, to do with liberty, and perhaps it's also to do with, I guess, the current energy when you think about a place like the United States, which has got their symbol is the Statue of Liberty, and perhaps it's a connection to that energy.
Yeah.
And how it's...
Yeah, sorry, I'm just...
That's okay, yeah. And how they all had their own aspects and traits that they were their strengths, and based on which figure you're looking up to is, as you almost said, it's choosing that path of which traits you want to embody the most is which figure you are lining up to.
Yeah.
and how that can then impact your reality in your life.
Yeah, I've always, I guess I've started to understand that the importance of having someone to look up to, someone to strive towards.
Sure.
Right? And like we don't have, but in the past they had like the gods, and they had stories of the gods and their heroic deeds, and you know we had, and even the women had goddesses, you know, that were beautiful and intelligent and seductive and magical and all these things. Yeah, it's like, and so why not pick a god to ascribe to? Yeah, that's, well, I did.
Yeah.
Like my Facebook profile's been Odin sitting on a throne for the last like 8 years.
And so what were the characteristics and traits of Odin that I guess that you admired and wanted to strive towards?
Yeah, he's got all of his traits. He's because the story is that Odin was a real human. Like he was a person who attained like great things, and maybe he most likely was of the bloodline of the rulers, you know, from Jesus down, and back into where Odin was. I don't know, like the Scythians, but the story is that he brought the 12 tribes to Europe. Like that's, and I don't know how the connection with the Israelites works, but yeah, he brought them. So he was a great commander and a leader. And he was, they say he had foresight, so he could see the future. He had 2 crows that came and told him the tidings of everything that went on in the world. Every day they'd come and I can't remember their names. And he was also a poet, right? And he was something of the ecstasy. He was able to attain ecstasy. I don't know what that means. To me, that means that he was good with women.
Right.
That's what that's the way I interpret it.
Sounds like a fun path to go down.
Yeah.
Lots of cool things to discover.
And he was a fucking warrior.
Yeah.
He was like, but he was enlightened. You know.
So that's your version of positive leadership that you can. I guess look to and.
What if you could reach that place? What type of leader would you be, and what differences could you make in the world?
Yes, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's why you want to, for me, that's why I want to attain that. It's the power that and the skills that you can gain.
Yeah.
Like the wisdom. Yeah, if you can have that wisdom. Like if you can speak to birds, like that would be cool.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to.
Any kind of
connect with nature.
Any kind of breakthrough that you get on that path.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't fully get all the way to where you're thinking.
That's it.
You're gonna find some amazing experience.
There's gonna be some benefit, rather than, and I think there's a lot of men, especially, of just so lost. They don't know who they're trying to be.
Yeah.
They don't know, and they've just lost. Where if they were all striving towards Thor or one of the gods, it's like, let's get fit, let's get strong. You know, let's learn. There's more to learn. We're not attaining everything we can as humans.
I caught a snippet of your podcast that you had with Logan. And how he was talking about a video game character that he wanted to become. He wanted to become this cowboy character.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
It was a figure that he wanted to go and experience,
and he can
he went
do
and made
that.
It happen. Yeah.
And if he wanted to go to Kalgoorlie and be the cowboy character, if you really want, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. And it's good to have something to aim for. Right. That's why I think I probably said it in that podcast with Logan about the 10 Commandments. Like the second one is, thou shalt not have idols.
That's right.
Right? and so that means you're not allowed to worship the gods.
Yeah, or angels, or a lot of these other
anything.
things that a lot of people do in certain religions.
Yeah.
Because
But-
it's a lesser version of
Yeah.
God.
But an idol could be a king from the past, you know.
That's right.
You're not even allowed to do that. So you're not allowed to strive for or have to look up to people unless it's God or Jesus. Now, like that's why I don't think that commandment is a real one.
It's been put in there.
Yeah, for
deliberately.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah, to control the people.
Well, yeah, anything which has got that punishment attached to it,
Yeah, yeah,
it's coming from a different energy.
yeah.
You know, I feel like in many ways life is about exploring and finding your own truth and your own answers as you go. And you don't really need external punishment. You'll figure it out based on your own day-to-day goings, what works and what doesn't work. So this idea of external punishment, I feel like that's coming from, it's a very patriarchal system. I think it's like the dad who's telling you what to do all the time.
100%, and I think that system comes in place when the people aren't fully vibing. So you have to have these rules for people. But talking about like old civilizations, where if there was the harmony and the love and the respect and the celebration and all that, like you don't have to worry about that because people have got a purpose. You know, they're involved in their society.
Because
they're not like on the outside, the outcast.
Sure.
Yeah, because that's probably the problem. Sorry, I keep.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
I think that's the problem is there's so many the people who they get pushed out because they don't fit in. No place for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were saying that, wasn't it? It's mostly artists.
Yes. Yeah. The ones that, they want to find that creative energy and they want to nurture that. And they have to do that externally, create their own systems.
Yeah, I had that thought about that. Like artists, are usually the ones least paid, and in some ways they offer such more beautiful things.
Oh, imagine a world without art.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
you
right.
can't listen to music in your car driving to work, or
That's right.
you know,
Yeah.
you don't see beautiful paintings and you know, beautiful visual things happening all around you, fashion, things like that. That's all art.
all of it,
Yeah.
and it makes the world more beautiful, and it makes people's experiences more beautiful. So it should be a priority, and that's what I think. Like Babylon was like that. It was a priority to make it beautiful. So you need your artists.
Yes.
It's like shit. I got a wall here. What am I gonna? Where's an artist?
Yeah, I imagine it'd be like we're living in a hospital if it wasn't that, you know.
Yeah, that's right. If there were no artists, it would be like that. And it was like that for a while. Like, I think in the 60s, before people started graffitiing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you go to Melbourne, I haven't been there for a while, but all down the little streets in the centre, there's people have done graffiti all up on the brick wall. It's like really beautiful. Artwork has happened.
Nice. Yeah, just my thought that I was having before when we were talking about the Bible, and how if you are interpreting it as wisdom from a father figure, then it's at some point in every being's life where you take that wisdom and you put it under your belt, and then you go forward and you create your own story. And I feel like it's a very limiting book in many ways, because people will just pick it up and then they'll only go as far as the story that's been told in that book.
Yes.
And in that way, many ways, that then prevents other people from progressing and doing things that potentially haven't been done before.
Big time. Yeah. And that's like Osho was against religion. Organized, like he just said that, like, because what happens if I'm born a Hindu and there's a billion people who are Hindus, it's like must be the right thing. I don't have to seek. You know, you get lazy in your spiritual path because you're not seeking your own path. Yeah, because it's like, well, this one must be the right way.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Christianity, Muslims, all these, you know, it's like we lock ourselves in.
Yeah, it's limiting.
Yeah.
You limit what's possible based on, I guess, your boundary of information that you're willing to accept.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so then, and so that's like having that freedom to be able to pick and choose is pretty cool.
Yes.
Get to explore that. Like
Yeah.
I think it's an advantage of being in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can just now with the internet as well, we can just access everyone's works, all their spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
And bring it together into your own belief.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that should be, I guess, to me, that's more aligned to coming up with an ideal or a philosophy, which is then feels like it's an accurate religion, which I'm living just in my day-to-day life, which I'm not spreading on anybody.
Yeah.
It's just who I am, and that's my structures and my systems and my beliefs that I've got inside of me that I've made tangible because I wanted to either bring them to life or I've seen them working somewhere else, and then that then creates your structure. And I find that personally, that's a lot more enjoyable than just taking whatever is here, have that, and that's as far as you can be creative with it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I fully agree. Yeah, and that's the world you want to have, where you have that freedom. Like they call it religious freedom. Everyone can do whatever they want, as long as it's like has that good intention. You know, it's got it's. I read somewhere this morning, like, was a quote that, you know, God left in every one of us the innate knowing of what's right and wrong. We talked about it last night.
Yep.
But yeah, we all know what's right and wrong, and that's where you draw the line. If you're doing good things, but you believe, you know, you need to put, like saw a YouTube video on the cargo cults, as like these guys were like building planes and runways, islanders in the Pacific during World War II, and they were worshipping the gods bringing cargo, like goods, to them, and they built it like that. If you want to do that, you can do whatever you want, right? We're all, I believe, worshipping the same God. We're just doing it in different ways.
Yeah.
We all go like the best. My Instagram is finger pointing to the moon, and the idea behind that is that the moon is the divine, and fingers, we've all got different fingers, and we're all pointing, but different hands, different fingers, different ways of all talking about the same thing. And he always said is like, it's not, we argue over the finger, and we're all talking about the moon. Like, focus on the moon.
Yep.
Yeah. It's and that's what it's about.
Yep.
You know, it's the same. So yeah, religious freedom is essential.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's examples in history of that where, like, the Normans went into Sicily, and they kicked the so what were they called, the Mamelukes, or the Islamic like some sultans, and then but the people stayed, and the culture and supposedly Sicily has got, because this was in the 10th to like 12th century sort of thing. Like the architecture, or they built some amazing buildings, and it's all intermixed, like Islamic design and Western Christian design as well. Yeah. So they just incorporate everything. Yeah, and I think that's how Genghis Khan did it as well. You know, he just allowed people to do their culture.
When you think about modern times, and when you think about how people live their lives, and then they might also classify themselves to be of a certain religion, many people are just making up their own version of that now anyway. Yeah, no one is like, you talk about the 10 Commandments, for example, and having no idols. Yeah, a lot of Christians would probably be, looking up to their favourite football stars or music people or fashion actresses, actors, putting them up on a pedestal. So they've already tweaked it so they can live their current life. So they're not. They've kind of created their own religion in a way, anyway.
Yeah, it's altered it a little bit. Yeah. Everyone should, and I heard Osho say this. It's like everyone has their own religion, and there should be a religion for every single human on earth. Like that, it's like practice whatever works for you. Yeah. But you're all about the same thing, the moon,
Yeah. So that's a more balanced perspective, isn't it? It's seeing the I guess the divine in everything.
Yeah.
In everyone.
Yeah.
Which is different to other religions, which then have it more like a hierarchical thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just wondering if your sound was a bit low.
Oh, yeah. Should we have a break
now.
and just test it, or is it all right?
That's good.
It's good? All right.
Yeah, all good. All good in the hood.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
And so you were also doing some more stuff on Egypt this morning that you were talking about.
Yeah, I was. I'm studying ancient Egypt and the how the kings and queens functioned in their society and what sort of importance they put on kings and queens, which I think, like, I come from a zero background of archaeology, so I have zero influence. Like, the only influence you could say is maybe Graham Hancock.
Oh, yeah.
so yes, maybe that's already over to the conspiracy side, but to me it just means, like, of what I see with Graham is that he is pointing out things that archaeologists haven't looked at, and they're not willing to. There's like, it just takes them a long time to come around, like years and years, and it takes someone with a fucking big stick just whacking until they finally acknowledge or even look at things. They're so close-minded. And anyway, I started looking at ancient Egyptian archaeology and all the mural, like in the graves, all the different images and statues, and just started to understand a little bit about them, I guess, with no influence, not too much influence. Yeah. And because I've been researching kings and queens and understanding how important it is to have a good king and queen, like that, that understanding that dawned on me about that was like, oh, when it means everything. It's what the whole civilization would worry about.
Well,
if you're gonna have a bad one, it could fucking be the end of the civilization. Everyone get killed, right?
Well,
you could invade somebody and.
Let's talk about what you know about the boy pharaoh.
The boy pharaoh.
Yeah, because Tutankhamun, he didn't have a queen, did he really? And what was the time like for him?
Well, yeah, this is. I mean, I haven't even started writing about this. This is. I'm writing a book.
Oh, that's right. You've got a different take on the boy pharaoh, don't you?
Yeah, very different.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but so, what were you going to say about Tutankhamun?
Well, I wanted to explore it from a different point of view. If he was a boy and he was a leader, how he was able to be. He was a good ruler apparently, and how he was able to do that as a boy.
Yeah.
You know, who was his strong female influence? Was it his mother, or did he have somebody around?
Yep.
You know, did you discover any of that, or you actually have a radical take on it? I don't know if you want to share that now.
Yeah. Well, why not?
Yeah.
Because it sort of goes in line. Like Tutankhamun, there's something dodgy going on there in a big way. Like even her body was burnt.
So that's the radical take is the her.
Yeah. Oh, I'm saying her. Yeah, is well. To me, she was a female, and when you look at it, all the evidence, it doesn't make sense that it was a male at all. And even to the point that like there's breasts on some of the statues, Like there's all these this evidence to suggest that she was a queen, and she was a great queen because she had, look at the wealth that they had, you know, like it was a wealthy time.
People were prospering.
Yeah, yeah, and when you look at the murals on the walls, like the interpretation that the archaeologists talk about is totally, to me, is totally wrong. She met a king, and he became Osiris. He became king, but she was his consort, right? But she was the, like, you need the king to run the kingdom, and I think she was of the bloodline of the, right? Yeah, but for some reason archaeologists, they've got a fucking agenda. They don't want us to see the amazingness of these civilizations from the past.
With the good times of the female rulers,
with
perhaps?
Female rulers as well.
Yeah.
Female rulers is a big one, because it gives the love to the goddess again, the feminine.
Yeah.
And that's been taken from our history.
Yeah, it's the patriarchal narrative that the
Yeah.
majority of the world's running with,
Yeah.
rather than the natural matriarchal. Everything is born from the woman.
Yeah.
Nature is, everything is coming from Mother Nature,
Yeah.
from the earth,
Yeah.
from the woman.
Yeah.
We're born out of the womb and we're fed by our mothers.
Sure.
You know, the woman feels like she is the provider.
Yeah.
You know, and the one who's always giving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
Like you look at bee colonies,
Mhm.
it's the queen is the boss. She's the top of the line. Maybe that's just the way it always is.
Yeah.
That's the natural state.
Yeah.
It's the queen at the top. And we've just been, I mean, like our understanding has been totally swapped,
Yeah.
that it's a king. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess the real narrative that's been lost is the balance of the two of them together.
Yes, yeah, because you still got to have both.
Yeah.
That's right.
And how the two of them, when they're working together,
Yeah.
then they create something awesome for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and finding that, because you know what, like we talked about the power couple, like the power couple, the couple together. If they're in that divine union and they're like both enlightened, could you imagine the energy that they would be able to create?
That's right.
And the power that the two together?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, like, you think of it like Jesus was a king, okay? So imagine him as the king of the bloodline of the Jews. Like, he wasn't just a poor peasant. He was actually of the bloodline, and it says it all through the Bible that that's the case.
Yeah.
And so
where was, when you look at his story,
well,
there's
where's his woman?
Where's the
Exactly.
good woman, you know?
And there was one.
Yeah.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Was like of royal birth. This is what I've read.
Yeah.
That she was of royalty.
Yeah.
And that was the divine union.
So that seems like an important thing to mention in a story of his life. Yeah.
Pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been taken away.
Yeah.
To take away from the power of the feminine.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
In many ways, like, you can understand there'd be a lot of male, I guess, when you think about priests and decision makers that were influencing those royal families, that would feel a threat of their visions and what they could perceive based on the woman, and how she was providing her king with information too. And it was almost like it was a wrestle for the mind of the king between the priest and the queen.
Sure. You see that. Yeah, I see that as well. Yeah, definitely. And there was jealousy because the queen was, and I think women have an innate sense of being able to read people as well, right?
Yeah.
So if someone's got bad intentions, women can pick up.
They
on
have
it.
great intuition, you know, and it's a gift that they have because they can also bear and raise children. They have a way to intuit things that men don't have. You know, they know how then when they have a newborn baby, what that baby needs, and they can communicate it with that baby on a different way than what a man can, what the father can. They have a different gift, and this can be seen as a threat.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'm sure I see it playing out in history. Yeah.
So yeah, just I guess people that didn't have the ability to know their place and didn't know what they were capable of, and they make a deliberate attempt. And
yeah. So that's where like the queen protects the king. She protects by seeing everything going on.
Yeah. Making sure that the bishop from the opposite side
Yeah.
is not getting too close to the king. And
Sure. Well, you know,
corrupting his mind with a different religion.
the other thing I've always found interesting is like the Merovingians had 4 queens, 1 king and 4 queens, like, and then they had 4 children, like the first born of each of the wives. Like this is like the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israelites. Jacob had 4 wives, right? 4 queens, sort of thing. And it's funny how a deck of cards has 4 queens, right? Yeah. So there's something in that.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah. Well, I guess is it a sign of prestige maybe that you can provide for many women in one way,
or maybe having 4 queens who are
they're all
highly
working
skilled sorceresses.
They see something in this one man.
Yeah, but they protect the king, right? Because they all have, you know, the witch of the east, the north, the south, the west. They've all got different qualities. Yeah, maybe
interesting.
Cool. We like to imagine, but so with the Egypt, it was a lot about selecting the right kings and queens. So that's all of, if you really